Thank you very, very much for coming. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time, your energy, your presence. It's always good to kick it with you.
Yeah.
Now we get to do it on camera, which is a vibe.
Okay.
How was your day today?
That's what it was.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you got to exhale it out.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. You ain't got to hold it no more.
This is a safe space.
No, it's not. But, live your life.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it was a good day. In the great words of a fellow from the other side. Mm-hmm. And I think today was, as I get older, I know that every day is necessary. Mm-hmm. So today was necessary.
Yeah.
Because for a minute, I got to sit back and just watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Every day is necessary. Every day is an ingredient in the recipe. And all the ingredients don't taste good on their own.
They don't.
A lot of them probably don't. You know what I mean? Depending on whatever the dish is. And then it got to cook. So it's like, even if it tastes good, it probably don't taste good raw. You know what I mean? You gotta let it cook.
I mean, I was vegan and then I was raw for like 12 days, so.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that's
different though.
Long enough, but I'm just saying.
I mean, 12 days is a long time to do anything. Straight?
Yes.
12 days straight?
12 days straight, walking past the bodega, the Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah.
Raw.
You official. If they giving out, certification.
Eventually I broke and got a donut.
You went straight to a donut?
It's because Dunkin' Donuts was next.
Oh, okay.
It was on the strip.
I mean, come on. You
don't know how we got here.
You know what I mean? You're an artist. So I know some of the Kween Moore story. Of course, nobody knows all of anybody else's story. Most of us don't even know all of our own story, but you are and have always been to be known, to be seen, to be observed, to be experienced. You've always, in my experience, you've always been colorful and bright and vocal and attentive, and that's all my outside looking in at you. You know what I mean? So I'm curious about what you see when you see you, and then what has that looked like over the course of your life? Like, who have you been to you? Who were you to you when you were a child? And not like, I'm not asking you to like define yourself or like make a composite description, but like, what were some of the things that you observed about yourself as a person from like earliest remembrance?
Like, I loved the stage. Like, I was completely terrified of it and still am.
Okay.
But I remember at 3 years old, I wore my Easter Sunday dress. Shout out to Aunt Cheryl.
Ooh, what color was this dress?
It was like a soft pastel pink.
Okay.
I mean, almost white. And it had lace trimming. I still have the picture.
Yeah.
And my Aunt Cheryl and her mom, they made my sister and I's Easter dress. And I remember my mother put it on me for the talent show at Bernard School in Connecticut, where I'm from. And I wore my Easter dress.
Yeah.
And I belted out The Greatest Love of All.
Hello.
Could not sing a lick and still can't.
But can belt.
But I was 3 in my Easter dress. And the day I got a chance to speak to Whitney Houston on the phone, my brother was being shipped off to Iraq for the very first tour, fresh out of high school. And it was, traumatic. We didn't know it, though. Now looking back, it was definitely trauma.
Yeah.
We just knew we was going to miss him. And my cousin was the manager, had some type of position on Bobby and Whitney's staff. Shout out to my cousin Raymond. And he always promised me he would let me meet these artists that he worked with.
Yeah.
So I never believed him. He said Usher, Genuine, this one, that one.
Right.
Because he never showed up with him, I never believed him. But I always knew my cousin was an amazing fireman, and he always bragged about Bobby and Whitney. And then one day he showed up to my house, didn't know it was him. I turned on the light, and I said to my parents, I said, some strange man is outside saying he's your cousin. You want me to open the door? And my parents came to the door, turned on the light, and it was my cousin standing there with Bobby.
Oh, wow.
On my front porch.
Yeah.
He called Whitney. And Whitney told my brother Jeremy, don't be afraid over there and make sure you stay prayed up and you love God. And then Bobby proceeded to tell him to duck. But I remember those experiences. That still outline. So it went from 3-year-old Easter dress to now my cousin, and I'm in college, bringing Bobby to my house, speaking to Whitney on the phone. Yeah. And it all made sense. It makes sense now. Okay. And I'm 42. Yeah. So that's the exhale. Yeah. No pun intended.
No, I dig it. Shoot. It reminds me of like how they talk about, life is a cyclical in a circle, but it's not a circle that closes in as much as it's like the way a screw turns. Like it's spinning and moving forward, and so it's not necessary for loops to always close in life. There is a continuum of it where it's just like I'm on this side again, but it don't close up from where I was when I was on this side last time. But there's a familiarity of like, oh, yeah, I'm on a stage. Oh, I'm connected to people on bigger stages. Oh, I'm on bigger stages. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm calling people, telling them stay prayed up. Next thing you know what I mean?
I'm getting invited to be on a podcast. Like that feeling.
Yeah. But like all of it is like, these are all kind of breadcrumbs to your life and to where you're going. You know what I mean? Like we look at life through a rear view mirror most of the time. And there's a big ass windshield for us to look through. Yeah. There's a lot of future to look at. You know what I mean? And there is a scene to look at. We just
but certain people won't let you move forward to see that scene. And just about an hour before I got here, I was talking to somebody who's younger than me in numbers, but just as smart as me in wisdom. And they were like, I'm at a point in my life I don't want to respond like that, like in raw. And it's like, that's what we're taught sometimes to lead with because it gets results. But you asked me earlier, like, what if from my childhood and until now, I've learned and am learning how and if I should even respond. And I even said to this person, I said, you got to be mindful of people that bring you news that they already have equivalated to being, if that's a word. Is that a word?
It is now.
It is now? Okay, I like that. Is equivalent. Let me use my...
Cool. I'm ready. I'm going to let it ride.
I like that word.
Equivalated.
It's so us now. Yeah. And forever. Yeah. But I said to this young person, I said, you got people that'll bring you news in a specific manner that they know how you're going to respond, especially if they're close to you. And I say you have to set some boundaries at who's bringing you news and about what. Yeah. Because if it doesn't repair what they're coming to complain to you about with another individual or situation, then they already know the response they're willing to get. Yeah. That holds you captive.
Yeah, what they're interested in.
What they've invested in about how they know you. And it's not fair to yourself to be like, I'm going to respond like this. It's only because it's model behavior or we remembered a time where it was successful for us. And I'm not beat to continue like responding like I know my mama Rochelle would. Right. Or my aunt Joanne would because they stuck in a different era than I am. Yeah. And I'm forced to be in a different era than what I was raised in. We in the same age group,
Yeah, and like when you look at the behaviors that have been modeled, you don't have to ask yourself, but you do yourself a service to ask yourself, do I want what they got? Because they only got what they got. There isn't some extra treasure hidden somewhere that they got from that behavior. You know what I mean? They got what you saw them get. Yeah. And that's all they got. And if you don't want that, well, then that behavior is only going to get you that. So.
But think about it, though. We were taught not to question. I was in my house, in my hood. Like, you don't question. So what I thought was a successful win for my mother, I ended up doing because it was modeled for her. Like, if I saw that she, my mother was quick to put hands.
Mm-hmm.
But then I realized too that restricted her because she always complained about, if I didn't do this as a child, if I didn't respond to my anger, if somebody had cared for me, if my father had stayed.
Right.
But my father stayed and there was a different response.
Right. Yeah, that's the other thing.
And I almost wish that he didn't stay.
I hear you.
So it's like we got to choose what model behavior is successful.
Yeah.
And like every day is something different.
Yeah.
No matter how big, how small it is, like you get into issues with people, and with social media thrown all in, everything can go left quickly. Just if you like a statement or respond. So it's like you got to be cautious and careful and set boundaries. And that's what I've been learning and watching myself at 42.
Yeah. I lately I've been very, very interested in my crazy and using it as a tool. And like, it's funny how like crazy is a pejorative word. It's like we only think of the negative connotation of crazy. You know what I mean? All crazy means is outside the box. It's just a different word for outside the box. You know what I mean? We get told to think outside the box in a positive light, but if you use the word crazy, it's a negative light.
Right. It's like no, the real meaning of no when we say no.
Yeah, it's like nah.
No sometimes means yes, and I'm like
I've said yes to a lot of. I've made my choice of where the yes is. This ain't one of them.
This ain't it.
That's it. So like, in my crazy and in my delusion and whatnot, I am interested in who am I making my teacher, and how many teachers can I collect based on what they have, what they've acquired, what they've become, and I have all of history to choose from. Like I can choose people that I know personally. I can choose people that I've never met. I can choose people that I never will meet.
Or that I barely know.
Right? But like if their example is available to me, if their point of view is available to me, if their thoughts are available to me, then I can use that.
Yes.
And I can use that model. And I can use it knowing that it might be an experiment for me, but it is a tested model. You know what I mean? So like often in my experience, and I'm curious to hear about yours, like the anxiety, the uncertainty, the nervousness about life is like, I'm still trying a thing for the first time. I don't know from my personal past experience that this works.
Right.
Like to your point, so like that's why it's so comfortable to revert back to what I've done before, to whatever degree it did work, because I at least have that familiarity.
Yep.
But it's like, all right, but
I have a starting point.
You know what I mean? That's just me choosing the uncertainty to be dominant. And it's like, it don't have to be dominant. It could be a factor. They don't have to be dominant. You know what I mean? I can choose my confidence in I've made it this far trying for the first time a lot of times.
Right.
So me trying for the first time is not a recipe for failure.
Right.
Like I do that a lot and well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's like it gives me reinforcement for my crazy.
Right.
Because it's like my crazy is rooted in a lot of success stories from a lot of different perspectives and people and experiences. And it's rooted in the confidence of what my life has looked like at me trying a thing for the first time over the past 45 years. You know what I'm saying? So like, fuck it, let's play. It's all play.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I get to play. As long as I'm here, I get to play.
I mean, well, you think about we're forced into our adulthood. Some people say there's other cultures that have earlier adulthood moments, like you're a child and you immediately become an adult. And I think watching adults in professional development settings sometimes, it kind of lets you know where they've been let down at. And today it was the most vulnerable watching adult people in agony and in pain. And it's like, where's their soothing method? A lot of times we're forced into the adulthood and knowing what to do.
Yeah.
But we haven't practiced it. And we don't know it. And our mothers tell us, don't speak to her if she's upset with me. Like we're told and forced into a mindset that does not serve the current conditions and this current mind frame. Like There was an era in time when people didn't care about getting in trouble and people didn't care about losing what they got. That's the first thing somebody will say. Well, I don't care what I lose.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm not willing to lose it because I've worked and nearly died, laid on the death to get to this point. Like literally, I feel like I'm my grandmother at certain points.
That is the countryest thing I've heard.
She's from Chesterfield, South Carolina.
Okay.
So I am Cape Verdean, right?
Yeah.
My roots are Cape Verdean. But the I want to be so clear when I say this. The part of me that stems from this area of land, we don't know because that's what's been held captive in secret.
Okay.
I know Chesterfield, South Carolina, something to do with PA, and a little bit of Brooklyn.
Okay.
That's all I know.
Yeah.
So
laid on the death.
Yeah, like you laid on the death, like
yeah,
close to death.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think when we realize that we give our choice up, we give our yes up, and we're left, once we give up the yes, we're sitting around thinking about, okay, should I have to say yes? You already said yes, you gave up your right of imagination, imaginative play, curiosity and exploration. You gave that right up.
Yeah.
So we're forcing all right, I'm girlfriend now. I gotta fit a standard. I gotta cook. I gotta clean. I gotta be fine all the time. I gotta have on the baddest mink lashes. You forgot the imaginative part that you put this in your mind. You created. This is what you wanted.
Yeah.
It's not really quite what you're getting.
Yeah.
So that's the part of where I'm at in observation of self. It's like, yo, like, am I really allowing a lot of this stuff in my life to take place?
Right. Yeah.
Because somebody else doesn't know themselves, I'm playing along. Like I don't realize.
Yeah, and there is not really a landing place for the majority of life. Like sometimes you
gotta go through it.
Yeah, right. It's like it's just constantly climbing and trekking and floating, moving. It's constantly moving. You know what I mean? You don't land. You know what I mean? And because of that, we're constantly looking for a landing. We're looking for plateaus to be like, yeah, I can stop climbing right now.
What's that say?
What?
I'm safe for a moment.
Yeah,
even
or
if
at least
for a moment.
I don't have to exert myself.
Could be that too.
You know what I mean? Like I can rest. We be wanting rest so badly, like rest from life.
Okay, now play devil's advocate. Sometimes we don't know what rest is. We ready to go time.
So yeah, sometimes we be resting and looking for rest.
When we should be.
Yeah. In the rest. Like.
Okay.
But we're here now. You know what I mean? Like we weren't this age in the 80s. We weren't this age in the 60s. We weren't this age in the 1800s. We weren't this age. We weren't here in any other time but now, right? And when we look at what life has looked like in the past, we try to map our life to that. And it's like, yeah, but that was then and there. And we're here and now. And so I think about often like, all right, I'm 45. This is not what a 45-year-old Black man's life looked like 20 years ago.
Right.
Like where my life has culminated to at this point, this wasn't it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I can't fashion myself after what they were doing then.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or who they were trying to be then or whatever, right? And the importance of play is because you can make a mistake in play, but you can't be wrong. You know what I mean?
No. Expound upon
as long as you playing, like whatever happens, as long as we still playing,
everything's all
there
good.
was a mistake. You could step out of bounds. It's not wrong though. The rule says there is inbounds and out of bounds. So whatever happens, it's in the rules.
It's still part of the game too.
You'll just get it. Yeah, it's part of the game.
Foul. You get
what I'm saying? Yeah.
Right. You'll learn your lesson.
Right. But you keep playing. You get to keep playing. And so
I think you're going somewhere with this. I think you're going somewhere with this.
I hope so.
No, what I'm doing is I'm placing what you're saying in a certain situation. So
okay.
That's what I'm saying. You get some.
I dig it. Okay. Yeah.
I'm a poet. I have a very,
I feel you.
Everything's not literal with me, but it's definitely outer space.
But it's like, I'm just here to play.
Yeah.
And I can't be mad about last time, last year, yesterday, whatever, I stepped out of bounds. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like, all right.
Yeah.
The ball's still bouncing. Clock's still running.
Right.
I'm still on the court. I'm still on the field.
I saw a post the other day on Instagram where it says some people are upset because the you that they knew used to react isn't showing up. And I was like, word.
Yeah.
They can't get with the shift, so they keep telling the same story and things that they think are factual about you. And,
Yeah.
And they don't allow you, they don't want you to grow into that because they got to be right about who you were. And so it very well may be that you were that person, but allow me to grow. And if you're not, I'm still gonna. So I don't know. This whole 42 on my way to 42. Download that I'm getting in the great word of my brother Doc's. The download that I'm receiving is like, this is a time to be completely observational. This was before the presidency and all of that. I was already getting to a zone in my human life, like, okay, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Are we willing to argue? Are we willing to fight? What is fighting about? Why are we doing it? Are we willing to complain? And a good sister friend of mine that I teach with said the other day, stop acting surprised when people and things show and reveal that they are exactly what they are. So a square is going to show up. It could be a cube based on its dimension.
Right.
That's artist stuff right there.
Yeah.
But it still is essentially a square.
Yeah.
So when we realize that we keep putting people and things and happening and circumstances and jobs and positions and whatnot in a box that we understand and not realizing the other person may not be there.
Yeah.
So they don't see it. So you arguing with someone now.
Right.
You're in a discrepancy.
Right.
And both of y'all stuck.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to get stuck with nobody right now.
Yeah.
In any regard.
And as long as you're arguing with them, you're arguing with them that they aren't, that you want them to be in this moment, just as much as they are with you.
Yeah.
Like otherwise you would just let them
rock.
Oh, that's how you, okay.
I'd let you be.
Yeah, we're gonna agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Right. So like, it's both of us. And what's most important is the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves. It's like, it's one thing for somebody else could be wrong about me, and it's just gonna roll off my back.
Right.
Or I could get caught up in it, but like, if I say it about me, it's definitely not gonna roll off my back.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I say a thing about me that is,
I've processed it, or I've acknowledged it.
I believe it to be true, and I'm presenting it to my conscious mind as a truth.
Right.
You know what I mean? As my identity, as who I am and will be tomorrow. You know what I mean? Dang. Somebody else could say some shit and be like, nigga, I wasn't that yesterday, I ain't that today, and I ain't gonna be that tomorrow.
And that's not where I'm at.
Right. But if I say it, and I hear me say it, and we hear ourselves in a lot of different ways, like it's not just articulated. But if we are telling ourselves stories about ourselves, if we're presenting identities about ourselves that are negative and critical and limiting and self-defeating, we will cooperate with that identity. We will show up as that person.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we'll believe that that's just true. If I say it, it is true.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like, nah, you could be lying to you too.
Exactly.
You just adopted the lie. You make it true, but it wasn't true. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where my mind was going in terms of like the whole out of bounds thing. You can go out of bounds and just stay out of bounds. Like, oh, I went out of bounds now. I can't play no more. Who said that?
Right.
Ain't nobody say that.
Right.
And as long as I enforce that about me, I won't come back on the field. Like, I won't ask for the ball again.
Or I'll get on the field and be scared.
I'll just not be, I won't be playing.
Think about the connectivity to that. Like I often talk about simulation. like simulated lives and experiences and communities and video games. I'm an avid gamer. Amongst all the time I don't have, and I'm always busy. I find time to go on Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty, still learning 2K.
Okay.
But I realized that looking at these games, these are our lives in real time, and the human that created it is creating the simulation in game format.
Yeah.
And our human experience, when you think about a lot of childhood movies and what's sold to us as children, some people call it demonically, some people call it, cult-like, some people, somehow, some way you were exposed to it at some point. Most movies, I won't say every, a lot of, I won't even say a lot, I'll say some. Some movies are like presented, there's a big city. And once you get to the big city, there's always a big win. You become this big, famous, successful person and whatnot, and all your problems go away.
Yeah.
That ain't it.
Yeah.
And that's not how we were raised, like culturally, vibrationally, like in the hood and the middle hood, the suburbs, whatever, people identify with, the projects. We've all been made to make a decision way before we should have been making a decision, before we understood it and knew it. And it's sad sometimes. Some people call it a revelation, but getting to this age and realizing I've been doing shit in accordance to what other people told me to do and operate. And look how much it's been a hinder. I wrote that in, I won't say, but in a publication recently that I was applying for. Just think that if I wasn't like accountable and honest with my story, there'd be nothing for you to read and or hear. From my heart to your eyes and ears.
Yeah.
So I have to come to this realization. Of course, we could still all act like I employ and I applaud our process of being brown. I don't believe in the term I'm black, but for its negative connotation, but for the reason. Like, we ain't given much choice, but I'm going to take mine. And I'm going to do it respectfully. Like, I respect my elders. It was a way that I was raised that I can't embarrass my family despite what happened in our home. It don't matter.
Yeah.
You're not finna, like, be disrespectful and show us what the class is. Like, it's classless.
Yeah.
And some people be like, oh, that's a social construct in your mind and blah, blah, blah. It don't matter.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not gonna shame my grandmother.
Right.
And my what was right about my upbringing.
Yeah. That's the other thing. It's like, we can get caught up in identifying the villains of life, because life is inclusive of pain, betrayal, crime, and
heartache,
and from the people you love and trust and regard. Like, it's not just the bad guys that do bad things, but it's like when somebody does a bad enough thing, we want to just place them in the bad guy box. You know what I mean? That way we can make sense of the bad thing they did.
Right.
And it's like,
and we don't leave when we do that. We don't leave any room for improvement.
Right.
He can't grow.
Yeah.
You're not gonna change your mind about him or hers personality or behavior or whatever dysfunction you call it.
Yeah.
And then they stay in this box like this goes all the way back to the initial conversation we were having. Like, people will keep you where they feel most comfortable with you and the you that they think they know.
Yeah.
And that you continue to keep listening and you allow those people to bring you those crumbs, shut that down. When I broke up with people, I had to learn to tell them, don't bring me that. I don't care what they doing. Don't Instagram me that. Don't screenshot it to me. I don't care about your conversation with them. I don't want to know. Unless they bringing harm to my mother or trying to be my stepfather, like, or my stepmother, like, no.
Yeah.
I don't, because now I understand what it does to me.
Yeah.
I gave people the room to be like, hey, yo, let me tell you what this person said about you.
Yeah.
That's not the same person. You're allowed to heal. Who am I to, like, we've had some really in-depth conversations over the years, you and I. And a lot of the gems that you leave me with, it became applicable. That may piss some people off. That nigga ain't as deep as, and it's, that brother ain't as But he was that for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to implicate anything that is negative that you thought about. That could be the very moment and position you were supposed to play in my life.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And I think far more, that's me. I think far more times than we should, we miss the essence in an interaction in a person.
Yeah.
And what the relationship was truly about and not what we made up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know? What was that?
Yeah.
You know? And I've called you banging on the phone like, this happened, that happened, and you like, okay. And keep in mind, we are not therapists.
Right.
We are human beings. And mind you, I went to school for art therapy, psychology. That's not what I'm doing right here. I'm really going through my own life observation.
Yeah.
Really,
I mean,
literally.
It's I had a conversation with somebody earlier today, a couple of people actually, and the thread is, power. Like, we have power. Until we absolve ourselves of power, until we forego our power, until we delegate our power to somebody else, we have power. You know what I mean? And, sometimes people bring you a story because they believe the story has the power. You know what I mean? They believe your past has the power. They believe them being the person to tell you this is power for them. You know what I mean? And
I've been there.
And ultimately, it's like, whatever the case is.
See, an ultimate tantrum.
Yeah.
Good or bad?
It's just a tantrum. I want attention, but not any specific attention for any specific reason. Just, I want to be seen. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I don't want to continue feeling like I'm not seen as and when I want to be. You know what I mean? And it's like, but you got the power the whole time. So if you see you, you're being seen. The being seen don't got to come from outside your eyes.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you got 3 of them.
Right.
It's like, see yourself.
But at what age are we taught that? What age are we allowed? Right? And think about it.
They still ain't teach us taxes.
They didn't. And I still don't know how to do them.
They just gave us
I'm not getting audited.
But I'm just saying, it's like,
I get what you mean.
We get what we get when we get it. And, in a lot of ways, we've gotten a lot. Just didn't, like you said, didn't know the value of it in the moment.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're not taught our life lessons as life lessons. We realize that it's a life lesson. We just get the lesson raw. You know what I mean? But we have a lot of lessons, truths, gems, principles that we get taught. We just don't know how to categorize them, calculate them, store them, preserve them, process them.
Even to get to the point that knowing that this does not or does serve us. Like, that takes a lot of work, and it's a lot of I really got to be real with myself. I really got to be like, how did I do this? How did I contribute to this?
Yeah.
How did I? And that takes some admitting. It's not like people be like, oh, it's an awakening or it's a moment to like, oh my God, you've arrived. No, it's just as simple as like, yo, what you've been doing for you has not served. It may serve at some point, but think about your internal. Think about your organs when you sit in silence. Your body's hurting and your breathing is short. And you can feel like when you holding something and your hand is shaking, like all of that is synonymous to what we've been storing and what we've told in our heads that, oh, this is right. Do this, do that. No, I've gotten in the last month, I've had 3 conversations about 3 different situations and processing resolve. And I sat there as peaceful as my most newest self could be. And I was so proud after. And a couple times I wasn't, though. I was like, yo, you could have handled that entirely different and better. But who's to say that my better wasn't good enough in that moment? Because my old self would have
Yeah.
handled it in a way that just was not going to be well for me.
Right.
And the people that, think about it, if I got a partnership with you and I piss somebody off, that's what I just got done talking to my peoples about before I got here. I not only put that person in their place, right, and get this off my chest, but the partnerships that I have also could be affected. The relationships I have. So I'm looking at things in a multiple degree, a multi-dimensional way, like how my actions reflect can bring harm on my students. It can cut access off to certain resources and people of opportunity and possibilities.
Yeah.
So you really have to sit and be like, hey, yo, is this conversation with this person gonna come from a space? And you and I spoke about this, about a situation a few weeks back. He was like, all right. And then you checked in on me. You was like, hey, yo, are you good? Have you prayed about the situation? And I looked at it at first. I was like, why is he not on my side about this? He's supposed to be my friend. You know, I was like,
yeah.
But then when I looked back at your text again, and I was like, and you asked me if I prayed about it, I'm like, yo, but I did. But I still couldn't understand why you weren't with the angry side of me. And then it made sense before you text me. Like, this isn't, I go toe for toe, knee for knee. Hammurabi's code, yes. But it's not going to make me feel good. It's not.
Yeah. Wait, what'd you say?
It's not going to make
Hammurabi's code?
Yeah, like eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth.
What is the thing that you said? What's the sound that you...
Did I say it right?
I don't know. I never heard it before.
Hammurabi. Or
Hammurabi's code.
Yes.
That's somebody's name, Hammurabi's code?
Yeah, Google it. Don't ask me no more specifics, but I know that. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. That means if I get back at you, if you get at me, I got to get at you.
Yeah. Got you. Okay.
I studied it. Don't ask me no specific details.
All good. Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But I got the gist of it because that's what I took from the whole lesson.
Yo.
Do what you want to do. Don't do what you don't want done to you.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, be ready and prepared that it's coming back.
Yeah. And you got to play your game. You don't just play your style of play in somebody else's game and think you win it.
Yeah.
As long as you playing somebody else's game, you losing.
I'm just trying to be peace. I don't care if I'm not calculating the win and the loss.
Right.
Because I'm not willing to lose.
Right. Come on.
I play to win. Shout out to Momentum.
Speak.
Shout out to AVG. Rest in peace. I'm playing to win.
Yeah.
I don't have room for the loss. Shout out to I gotta say it, one of the most instrumental people in my spiritual life, Susu Stewart. Like her statement and making sure at that point in my life I was good, and she still remains that I'm good.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that have been instrumental in building this person, a lot of times we think we did the work by ourselves. And I'm like, there were really people that pulled me out the trash.
Yeah, I dig it.
Like you and this one and that one. And so many people get caught up in like, well, that person was this to me. You should not like them. And I'm like, if you like them for what you like them for, I'm learning. That ain't my business.
Yeah.
I can't convince you. I can just, but what I know is that I can be responsible with my relationship with you.
Yeah. You know? I had this trippy revelation one day. I had this psychoanalysis of The Last Dragon, right? And I wrote it down, and I want to get your wisdom on this. I don't even think I texted. I know it was brilliant because I texted to my brother.
Shout out to Big T.
He's my meter for, is this idea brilliant or not?
Isn't he a kung fu master? Or he be doing, I've seen him do this a couple times. He was trying to show me, he said, you got it. He's telling me that his children, he taught his children. Yeah. So
check this out. This is the message I sent to him. Right, I've been watching The Last Dragon this weekend. I'm tapped in. So I'm interested in a philosophical discussion on the metaphysical parallels to the storyline in The Last Dragon. Namely, 1, self-actualization and accessing the power within. There is one place you have not looked, and it is there and only there that you will find the master. Right? So like that's the main thing about the movie, right? There is one place you haven't looked, it's there and only there. the there and only there is within, right? That's the only place that he hadn't looked. That's the only place he was going to find the master, right? Everybody else can say you look like a master. Everybody else can be like, that guy is in my way. If he don't look at himself and see that, he will never find the master. You know what I mean? Number 2, your enemies are ultimately not in conflict with you personally. They are just of the misguided belief that your existence and expression somehow stands in the way of their interests. So the Shogun of Harlem narrow-mindedly perceived Leroy to be in the way of his undeniable supremacy. You know what I mean? And it's like, he didn't have enmity with Leroy. He just saw Leroy as in the way of his goal, his target, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Our so-called enemies, people that come at us, people that try to block us, people that try to throw dirt on our name, whatever it is, they're not even really thinking about us.
Right.
They just don't know that they're not thinking about us. They getting caught up in the bullshit too. You know what I mean? Third thing is, meet your dreams with action as quickly as possible. So Richie, little brother, fawning over Laura Charles, right? Calling her his woman. While Bruce Leroy is putting himself in position and bringing value by saving her life twice, right? Although he's not checking for her. He's not interested in her. She's beautiful, but he's not trying to get at her, right? But ultimately, he bags her because there's action in there. It's not like claiming. You can claim all day long. That's my woman. That's my woman. That's my woman. This guy, eventually, she's chasing him. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, whatever your goal is, whatever your dream is, be about the action ASAP. Because otherwise, you're just leaving room for distance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Last thing was, ain't nobody gonna make your dream come true. Nobody. So Angie and Rock were Eddie Arcadian's, people. They both were ultimately resentful that he didn't make their dreams come true. So like Rock was, the white dude that was like, you were supposed to make me a champion fighter. Angie is like, you're supposed to make me a star. It's like, ultimately, nobody's gonna make your dream come true.
Right.
You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if they promise to. It doesn't matter if they got resources and access. It doesn't matter if they got the friends and none of that shit matters.
It doesn't. Nobody
else makes your dream come true. And I was incredibly entertained by these ideas, but they're real life ideas.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it's like, and it's a way to look at people's interactions with me, the way to look at how people choose to look at me or view me, and look at it like, oh, well, if this was a movie, I wouldn't be so caught up in the way this person interacts with that person.
Right.
You know what I mean? They just playing a role in a movie, and this one's playing a role in a movie. At the end of the day, there's a protagonist, antagonist. You know what I mean? And in my story, I'm the protagonist. So I'm supposed to get the energy from antagonist that antagonist gives to the protagonist.
On purpose.
Right? And if I move like I'm a background player, supporting cast character, or an extra in the film, then I'm not the protagonist. And I don't end up in the last scene. And the shit is not and will never be about what my dreams and goals and visions are. You know what I mean? But that's because I put myself further and further away from the lights, the camera, the whatever.
Absolutely.
The center. You know what I mean? It's like, this is the life lesson that doesn't look like a life lesson the first 30 times I saw the movie.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
because developmentally, that's not what we were.
Yeah.
When we first saw that movie, we were obviously, I know I'm 3 years younger than you. When I saw it, though, when I was able to see it, I knew about the love part of it. I knew that man was angry, right? Yeah. Not knowing any of the characters and all of that back then. But as I've gotten older, I've watched it, repetition and culture. And because that's a staple in our culture, right? And knowing what we should be doing. But how many of us could not resonate with why homeboy didn't initially want to fight him back?
Right.
Why Leroy didn't want to fight him back?
Right.
And why he took the higher road?
Mm-hmm.
The choice was always presented to us, but
Yeah.
it's not. When it's presented, it may not always be teachable.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know, like, hey, this is the divide in the road.
Mm-hmm.
This is the why.
Yeah.
So a lot of these things that are presented to us and given to us, we don't get the message until it's through repetition,
Mm-hmm.
because that becomes pattern.
Yeah.
Pattern becomes practice.
Mm-hmm.
Practice, you then now know.
Yeah.
When you've been through enough failed relationships, either you're not present or you don't know that you are contributing in some way, some form.
Yeah.
Everything is pattern. Right
Yeah.
now, we're working on the Ndebele people in my class.
Okay.
The Ndebele people of South Africa.
Okay.
And it's an all-women tribe,
Mm-hmm.
and they're the only painters in the village.
Mm-hmm.
Through war and their crops being taken, their land being taken for crops, they were forced to move into Zimbabwe.
Okay.
These women found chicken feathers and found objects and things to paint these very intricate, symmetrical designs on their homes.
Mm-hmm. And
a well-kept woman was a woman that kept these intricate designs on the outside of her house and the inside. Mm-hmm. Initially, they only had like earth tone and neutral colors, but through the advancement through arts, they were able to get more pigments, more colors. And I say this because the ingenuity in which culturally we're supposed to agree with or do things without, we can still find a way to do.
Yeah.
But we choose because of access and what's not in my reach.
Yeah.
That's just too much work.
Yeah.
There's not an advantage there.
Yeah.
I'm doing more work than I should. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
I'm
right.
But if this is where you want to get to and what you want to, the piece that you say you want to have,
yeah.
sit up.
Yeah.
Go readjust.
Yeah.
Shift. And people associate that with a lot of work. And I've come to the age that all of these movies, presentations, films, stories, poems, they're a repeat of history, and they're coming in different forms and different means of communication. And it's to say, when people keep saying, oh, they don't know that the 90s, oh, we already did that. Okay, that's the point. It's gonna keep coming back.
Yeah.
It's that screw mechanism you was talking about. There's no ending.
Yeah.
And when people realize, like, you're supposed to, it's like double dutch. Boom, perfect. You're supposed to know when to jump in. When that rope come down, it's a calculation. And I'm like, we missed it.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of missing the opportunity. I'm successful in what I say I'm going to do, but I'm tired of emotionally missing the opportunity to feel better and to feel good.
Yeah.
And these choices have hindered me. The giving out yeses before I even understood what the hell I just did.
Right.
It all is making sense. Now, it doesn't make, because I ain't figured it all out yet.
Right.
But it's making sense.
Right.
I've been giving my power away.
Right.
Far too long in far too many areas that I say I'm good at.
Right. Yeah, and there has to be earnesty. Like, you can't give. I saw somebody, I think Marty Woodard posted something on Instagram, like, don't do work for free, secretly wanting to get paid. You know what I mean? And like, a lot of times we be like calling it, our altruism and our good heartedness and all that, but secretly we want opportunity to come from this thing. And it's like, that was supposed to be a no then. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't an honest yes. It wasn't an honest give.
Right.
It was a transaction that the other person don't know they owe something for. You know what I mean? And when we do that, is we want the other person to realize, either in the moment or eventually, that we're somebody to be paid back.
Right.
Somehow.
We made a deal.
Yeah.
Now there's a deficit.
Yeah, we made a deal and signed both sides of the contract. And want to hold them up to it.
That's what I'm not willing to do anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been coming to. Like, one of my homies said to me, she's like, oh my God, where you been? I feel like I haven't seen you in so long. I've been tucked away because I have things to do.
Yeah.
And when we think about our lifespan, I was just explaining to somebody before I got this conversation that I had was pretty extensive earlier on, and it put me in the right space of mind to be here, and not knowing what we were going to talk about, but at least in a positive state of mind. Still anxious, still nervous, and it's like I'm extremely grateful that I eventually got to challenge myself and run my own life because of the mishaps that other people did not step in and intervene on in life. And I've had to navigate and figure out what I was supposed to do in those moments, immature or not, child or not. I look at it now like these people had no idea the growth that they were stunting. And I spent most of my life fighting to do what it is that I do now, literally fighting. And I wrote in one of my poems a line. I can't remember the whole poem, and I've tried to access it. Can't get in touch with the person that was running the show that day, but it was when I came out about my life story that most people don't know. And I said something along the lines, sweet something associated with bliss, unwanted fingerprints, an unwanted kiss. Just think if I didn't run away, what the world would have missed. That's all I remember from the piece. And there's another line I don't care to mention. But that's me paying homage to myself and to the people that have cultivated who I am. I didn't, like I said earlier, I didn't do this by myself, and I really am in charge now. A lot of us are not in charge emotionally, mentally, physically, financially, all of that of our lives until a certain age. And some of us miss the window entirely and just get on by. I'm not willing to get on by. Like, I really want the things, but I want to work for them. I've earned the right to be breathing through the things that I've done. I've responded in the earning of, I'm trying to say it in a different way, but with gratitude. So I can't do a disservice. I can't play myself out. I really have to say and be serious. Like, this is the time now. Like, I can't let people get in my way. Because I said as a little girl, I wanted to do X, Y, and Z, and there was nobody else there. There was no boyfriends. There was no girlfriends. There was no love interests. That I didn't understand love and pain at the same time. It was just me and my childhood. Like, I can't wait to, be in love, and Valentine's Day cards and candy and all that shit. Stuff. And then when you grow up and you're like, it becomes so heavy to even want that same thing because it's been manipulated so much. I don't have the space right now to heal from something or someone.
Right. Yeah. Let me ask you, how has being an artist changed you? Like, what has it taught you about your humanity?
That what I do, like, it truly, it matters. And not like, like, people really look forward because it's something that I said or something that I did or produced that resonated with them, or my presence showing up, like the weight of them holding me accountable. For instance, like going to Africa and the people greeted me at the Mike Edenuga Center with so much love. They were like, "Oh my gosh, Queen, like, it's such an honor." That I'm like, "What? You have no idea, sister. I'm so I'm beyond honored. Like, can't nobody get in the way of that. That being received by people that don't know me but that just read about my work or heard about my work, that's where I'm at. That's all I have time for. And my son. Like, that's all I want to make space for, so that I am literally living my legacy. My legacy is so, like, it's beautiful.
It's
really beautiful.
I think we easily mistake our position and space in this all Because like if you think about like the poets that you looked up to as a child, you know what I mean? If you think about, you know, who you tell me, who are the poets you thought of as like
now you know what's up.
Nah, I would rather you say it though than
Shel Silverstein, believe it or not, because his imaginative play and childhood like visual interpretation of poetry.
Yeah.
My little brother, I would take him to get needles, and I had a Shel Silverstein book. I may still have it from when he was a baby, my little brother. And whenever he would get a needle, he was diagnosed with the pneumococcal, whatever it is. I guess it's pneumonia.
Okay.
He's had it so much it became something else.
Okay.
And whenever he would get a needle, we had this one nurse that would keep missing. And I would be like, Poppy, I said, I wasn't calling him Poppy. That's what I called my son. I was like, we called him Snook. My little brother, we called him Snook. I said, Snook, just recite the Shel Silverstein post, the poem. And he was like, a little toy boat and a bicycle. I can't remember the poem, but he would repeat it every time the woman missed. Yeah. And eventually my mother, like, she probably missed like 2 or 3 times, but he would start from the beginning. And I think about the endurance of, he felt like this was a moment to start over every time she missed. Yeah. So when I put it a lesson, like, you know, I have my Asada, I have my, you know, Sonia Sanchez, I have my Nikki Giovanni, my Zora Neale Hurston's, my staples. Yeah. They're not my favorite poets. Those are my mothers, my aunts, my ancestors, right? Because they teach me how to be a woman. You know, TKs and Their Eyes Are Watching God. All of those women. But when I think of the imaginative part of what I do as a poet and knowing what my brother went through in pain, he was willing to start over. And who said that to me? When I was complaining about a heartache one time. I was talking to this brother named Tehsuan Glover. And I was like, oh my God, I got to go through this breakup. And then you was like, how dare you? I was like, what you mean? Again, not taking my side in the story. You were like, you just said to me that you could start over. Do you know how many people I know that don't know where to begin, have not started, and don't even know what that looks like, and you have the audacity to say to me, you got to start over. When you serious, come talk to me. I'll never forget that. Yeah. That was a different conversation. And it took so much energy for me to understand what you meant. But I heard you when you said it. But then when it came up again, when I tried to come back to you, complain about another situation, I knew that I wasn't going to get any less. And I came back to you like 3 or 4 times with situations. And you still remain the same. Those are what I talk about friends and people that care about you. You may not get them to buy in. Because that's not what they're there for. Right. We misguide and misinterpret and miscultivate, if that's a word. It is. The idea. It is a word. I like it. I don't teach ELA. I'm an art teacher. But I'm very well
that's what makes it a word.
In the vernacular. I could get to it if I need to get to it.
Okay, T.I.
Well, no, seriously. We just misinterpret relationships and people and things. Yeah. We put them in all kind of, like, you know, them little square toddler puzzles where you got to put the triangle in the triangle and the circle in the circle. Shape recognition, Montessori. Yeah. Montessori, whichever way y'all pronounce it, tomato. The gist of it is we knew that shape did not fit that specific situation. We're still trying to force it. In many of regards and walks of life. I'm just tired of trying to make that circle fit that triangle.
Yeah, man.
You look nice, by the way. My brother and your dad get up.
Thank you very much. Somebody that whose fashion sense I respect told me that I'm wearing dad jeans, and so I'm leaning into it.
It's beautiful. And the bracelet, I see the contrast. I see the harmony, the color harmony, and the color blocking that you're doing. It's nice. And
from the mill that is Brown, from Brown Mill.
Can't get my little leg all the way up, but we was on the same accord.
I believe in you.
Earth and earth.
You know what I mean?
The gods and earth.
That's my wisdom right there.
Yeah.
So, you know, the question I wanted to ask you, or the point I wanted to make about the artists and poets, it's like we have this belief that they knew who they were at the time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like in the world.
Yeah.
We thought Maya Angelou know who she is in the world, wherever she is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you have these experiences where you're in Nigeria. You were in Nigeria, right?
I was.
Right? And you're discovering that people know who you are to whatever degree.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now you have to see you with new eyes as not just who you are here and where you've already been, but you are who you are in places you have never been.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I think that allows us and affords us the opportunity. I keep coming back to play.
Yeah.
Like it just gives us the opportunity to just be in our playful state, because sometimes we think it's so serious and it's not that serious.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't realize how serious it is. We think, oh, I'm just Starsky. Or I'm just Kween Moore. And it's like, nah, there's places in the world that you've never been to. They already saying your name and they already quoting your work. You know what I mean? And they already referencing your art. You know what I'm saying? And so like, all right, well, if I didn't do that in order to have that, if at the time that I was doing that, I was playing, I would, and I don't mean playing like not taking life seriously, but like I was in the art. You can't, I don't believe you can actually be in art without a measure of play. Even when the art comes from pain. You know what I mean? The creative process in and of itself requires a degree of lightness, you know, and playing got you here.
Right.
And here is a lot further than where your 2 feet stand. You know what I mean? Playing is the whole thing. It's the whole thing.
It's an investment.
It's like
early on.
Yeah, tomorrow is a better day if I play today. You know what I mean? Tomorrow's not necessarily a better day if I work today. It's just not. There is work that goes unrewarded, uncounted, disregarded. You can bust your ass and get fired tomorrow.
Yeah.
But as long as you played, and the reward happens in your own heart. So you always get rewarded.
But you can't get the reward and understand it if you don't acknowledge value. Before the reward comes, the value, some people wait. Like when Beyonce got Album of the Year for country music, and her response, and I'm not with the Beehive. I don't know what they be doing in there. I know they be buzzing if you say the wrong thing about her. And I love her because she's a Virgo. But the possibility of her stepping into an arena, I'm looking at it from the just regular person standpoint, the everyday standpoint, that she stepped into an arena that she knew she could do good in. But the acceptance and the value of what she applied to the genre of country music.
Yeah.
Has there been other Black people that have sung country music? Absolutely. But Beyonce is making a major pivot and move in the culture that she got to take a long shot in. It's going to cost her a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of energy. And to see the look on her face when she won. And who knows what her husband whispered in her ear. And what her daughter said to her, don't matter. She up on that stage and she crossed the barrier that she had to have an ounce of, this is a risk. We missed the risk factor, the value in it. And then that makes it where we reduce the win and the reward sometimes. Yeah. Because we got all the stuff is out of order. It's like, I got to get to the project. It's got to be successful. Everybody got to love it. And God forbid they don't. It's not a success. It still is a success. You birthed it. You created it. How you promote it. Right. It's just like training up anything else. A child, a dog, a career. You have to be willing to there's a risk factor. Yeah. And if I don't understand the risk, I won't understand the value and what I was able to contribute and reap the reward of. Yeah. Yeah. We miss it. I've learned that now. Yeah. I've learned that and I'm learning that now, even because the dynamics change depending on the arena.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The base is the same, But the dynamics are going to change, and are you understanding the value of you?
Yeah.
And when we watch ourselves back, you know how many people say, well, like, if they hear themselves singing, or if they see themselves like on camera, and I've been guilty of it. I don't like the way I sound. I don't like the way I look. I don't like me on camera. The camera puts 10 pounds on me. So what? You on the camera. You on the radio.
Yeah.
And I think value, we can't miss that moment.
Yeah.
Because that determines whether or not we continue to keep working.
Right.
And if we're putting the integrity into the work.
Yes. And the quality of the work we put out.
Yeah.
Last question I want to ask you to that point. What is your relationship with gratitude?
My son. He's I'm multidisciplinary an artist. Okay, so that means that everything is multi. It's layered. Yes. But my relationship to gratitude is my son. I feel like I birthed a degree of my gratitude where I'm able to look at it now. And sometimes I irritate my son. He's 4. And he'll come back to me. He's like, Mommy, I'm sorry for making you upset. And I realized that he's processed that I was angry with him about something that he didn't do right. And he's my best lesson and my best method of like measuring, like, am I doing a good job in guiding another human?
Yeah. I've
guided kids for years, and adults and college students. But my son, who owes nothing to me, worships me. So my gratitude is rooted in him checking me. Like I told him the other day, I said, you got 10 seconds rather, to put your seatbelt on before that light turned green. I knew he wasn't going to make it. But that boy shuffled that car seat so quick, and he was like, he got it. I'm like, good job, Poppy. I looked in the rear view. I said, good job, Poppy. He's like, well, Mom, your seatbelt's not on.
And the light green.
All I could hear was Rochelle in my head. Like, if you don't tell me.
Yeah.
I said, you right. Wait. Clicked it.
Yeah.
He is the most amazing person. I miss him when he's at his dad's house. Yeah. People miss him. And like, I was spitting a poem the other day, walking around. He came in and he's like, Mom, you said we was leaving out the house. You still spitting a poem? He knows, like, he looks at me. I can't ask for no other lesson in the world. I wasn't prepared to be a mom, didn't know how to be one, didn't probably want to be one. But when I look at him, I'm like, I do everything for this little person. And he does all of his everything at 4 for me. Like, I should be apologizing to him more often.
I dig it.
Because he don't know no better.
I dig it. Yeah.
But then that means, too, that I'd have to explain more and some things he's not supposed to know. But I can remind myself that I'm grateful for him because he's taught me a level of discernment and affection and care and gentleness that all my friends be rooting for me to either take the high road or, like, take the high road. But my son is like, gives me a choice, if that makes sense. His playfulness gives me a choice. But he's like, Mom, you're my favorite girl. That lights a different fire in me to show up differently.
Yeah. I love that.
That's what he told me. He was fighting sleep. Did not want, he was saying anything to me.
Of course.
Rapping like he was from the 70s.
Yeah.
And he's my level of gratitude. I love when his father says, can you keep him? Sure, I can keep him. Say less.
Yeah.
As soon as he jumps in my car, Mom, we going to an open mic? Mom, we going to the studio? We going to the museum? No, we're not going to Newark Museum today.
Right.
We're going to Uncle Tay shows? No, we're not bothering him today.
Yeah, that's what's up.
I love him. I truly love my son.
Yeah.
More than a mom, but as a little homie.
Little homie.
Respectfully,
little
in the
teacher.
Most intelligent way that I can say it. Like, he's a cool brother.
Yeah.
He's so cool. He's going to be Martin Luther King tomorrow for the historical black figure.
Okay.
For school.
Yeah.
I helped plan some of the black
history. You got a mustache?
Nah, but I could draw that on with some makeup.
Draw that on.
And I wish I had a little fedora for him. He got a beige one.
Yeah, I thought he had one.
I think he has a beige one. He don't have a black one.
All right. You can rock a beige one.
Yeah.
Hey, man, cheers.
I love this.
I appreciate you, man.
Indeed.